Hello, everybody. Today, I wanted to be real with you. I wanted to talk about how basically all these ideas that I discuss a lot of these ideas on my channel lately, abstract ideas, like what did you think about this, the unconscious, even motivation. Like you think you can, if you think you can, right? If you can, then you must, and if you must, then you can. Like I think a lot of these pseudo scientific and kind of intellectual with an intellectual touch, these ideas, they're not, they may not be real, right? Is what I'm trying to say. And I was reading this kind of explanation how they went from, all these type of abstract, intellectual, kind of like intelligent ideas, to more real, more pragmatic, more realistic, um, more with your feet on earth, right? With your feet on the ground. And there's this idea of, your head is either, your feet are either on the ground, your head and your feet, right? Your body is on the ground. You're practical. You're a person that's rational, right? You're here in the day, in the here and now, or your head is in the clouds, right? You're always thinking about some stupid shit, and you're out there with your ideas. So there's this idea, as I was mentioning, where they flip, it's like the idea of flipping the person upside down. So then the head is where the feet should be, and the feet is where the head should be, right? But the idea is that your head is on the ground. So your head is where your ideas are, where your feet are, and that is going to give you a better perspective of things. You're only going to talk about things that are real. You're going to get away from all the, as I think Plato or Socrates called it, the world of ideas. You're going to get away from all of that crap, right? And you're going to be a little bit, that's why the video is called Knowledge on Its Feet, because your ideas and your knowledge should reflect realistic things, right? Like things in your life, and things that locally, right? Like don't worry about globally. That's why, like, global warming is such a, far reached, idea that, you can't really work with that, because you should be working more with local things, right? You are working more with local things. You can't be worried about the planet when your city has like all these problems. When your life has all these problems, you have all these problems, right? So I think this idea of, I was seeing this idea with communism, right, where you go from all these crazy ideas of, esoteric, and and they were actually saying, yeah, all those ideas are cool, but those ideas were actually like for the rich people back in the day, because those are the people that could afford to play around with these ideas and mentally stimulate themselves. But the working class, the only thing they had in their mind was work, labor, right? And that's where Marx comes in, and he gives them a voice, you could say. Well, that idea translated into modern society is, we could see it as cynicism, as critique, as the postmodern position, right? Which is kind of the position that I'm going to adopt in this video, where you're basically saying, man, fuck all your ideas, fuck all your, and like I said, I'm gonna keep it real. You have all these ideas, you have all these, notions of how to live your life, and they're not even real. They don't even work, right? So why are you even talking about them? Why are you even thinking about them? Why are you wasting your time with that stuff, when you should actually be more concerned on the real life, right? What you can actually do with your life. Be realistic, right? Because dreams and goals and all these ideas that we have in our life, like, oh, I want to be rich, I want to have a mansion, I want to have these things, right? You're not going to get them. You're probably not going to get them in your lifetime, right? And I'm living proof that, you can imagine these things, but they're not going to become a reality, or at least they haven't yet. So you adopt a cynical attitude, right? Where you're like, well, what can I do? What are realistically the things that I can do? Like, you could get a loan, right? You can open up a business if you want. You can open up a restaurant, maybe hire some people. Like realistic, and those things would be difficult, but realistically, that's your reach. That's what you can actually obtain, in your life. You're not gonna have a big house and some mansion and servants and things like that. So it's a very cynical attitude. Now, this type of attitude, I think, is very attractive for the youth and for people that are maybe going through this process where they hope and they want something, but then they see that it's not a reality, or they see that their reality contrasts with what's supposed to be, right? With the ideal, and they get angry, right? And then they get upset, they're justified, and then they say, you know what, that's bullshit. I don't believe you. I don't believe that, because my reality is this, right? So it's kind of like the cynical attitude. And in a way, it is new knowledge. That's kind of like interesting, because I'm making you see things that you're not seeing. You're in this ideal world where you're like, yeah, man, like if you just think about it and feel it enough times, it can become your reality, right? Like in The Secret or The Manifestation, or positive affirmations or whatever. It's all in your mind over matter. The mind is so powerful, blah blah blah. But then after you try and then you see your reality is the same as it's always been, that's where you kind of get upset. Now there's this whole idea of, well, how much of it is really up to you, and how much of it is really supposed to be the way things just are, right? Like, let's say you want to reach this goal, right? So you say, I'm gonna make this plan. And how often than not do you actually reach it, right? You actually don't reach it. Let's be real. You don't reach it. But you could say the transformation, or the little goals, the little unexpected goals you reach, you do reach, are worthwhile, right? That's where life is. Life is in those unexpected goals while trying to reach the ideal goal, right? Which is not going to be something you're going to reach ever. But you reach these other these other unexpected goals, and maybe that's where life is, right? Maybe that's what life is all about, which is kind of stupid. But we would be talking about a raw realism, right? Which I just explained, like how to go about it. Like, realistically, what can you do? What are the things that you can do? I can open up a business. I can get a loan, right? Things like this. And what are the real things that I can do, right? Basically, that's just what I said. I just said the same thing. So yeah, what else can you do when you can't do no more? You think and you make up things, right? So let's say you're this person that always wants to be doing things, but then you have the limit, which I'm kind of like that. You have a limit, and then when you see that you can't, keep dreaming, when you see that you can't do any more things physically, that's when you start to dream. That's when you start to think. That's when you start to become an ideal. And, I'm kind of tired of that. That's basically what this video is about. So my message with this video is basically, you can be more realistic. You can be more raw and just look at the practical side of things, at real world things, right? Like, what is your real life about, and what are your real what's your real reach, right? What's your real potential, right? What can you really do, right? Really, like, not in your fantasy land, but really, right? So food for thought. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.